South Korea's prolonged period of robust GDP expansion concluded 2 decades ago. Growth decelerated to below 5% in the early 2000s and continued to slow post the 2008 financial crisis. Presently, the economy is projected to grow by only 1.4%, marking its second worst performance since 2009. Following the Great Recession, a concerning trend emerged: the diminishing contribution of exports and investment to overall output. This is a stark departure from preceding decades when exports and investment were formidable drivers that facilitated swift recoveries from recessions. Join us in this journey as we look into the current economic situation of South Korea. In the aftermath of the Korean War that spanned from 1950 to 1953, South Korea faced a daunting economic landscape. The conflict left the country devastated, with widespread destruction of infrastructure, industries, and a significant loss of human capital. The war had plunged South Korea into poverty, and the nation faced the daunting task of rebuilding its economy from scratch. In the years immediately following the armistice in 1953, South Korea received substantial economic assistance from the international community, particularly from the United States. The U.S. played a crucial role in providing financial aid, technical assistance, and expertise to support South Korea's post-war reconstruction efforts. Under President Park Chung-hee, who came to power through a military coup in 1961, South Korea implemented a series of economic reforms that laid the foundation for its remarkable economic transformation. Park's regime focused on export-oriented industrialization, investing in key sectors such as heavy industries, infrastructure, and education. This led to South Korea's economy experiencing a rapid growth with industries like steel, shipbuilding, and petrochemicals flourishing. The nation's economic success story, often referred to as the Miracle on the Han River, showcased the effectiveness of strategic planning, export-oriented policies, and a commitment to economic development. South Korea's gross domestic product grew from a mere $2.7 billion in 1962 to a staggering $1.7 trillion by 2020. Economic development paved the way for democracy, and in 1988 South Korea transitioned into a proper democracy after massive pro-democracy protests forced the government away from a de facto one-party system. In South Korea, 2 political parties have long held sway: the Liberal Democratic Party of Korea, or DPK, and the Conservative People Power Party, or PPP. These parties, with their distinct ideologies and policy preferences, have shaped the country's economic trajectory in significant ways. The current president, Yoon Suk-yeol, is a member of the conservative PPP. Yoon's victory marked a shift in the political tide, and his economic approach is decidedly market-led. One of Yoon's key policy pledges is to cut red tape for companies and deregulate the virtual asset industry. He's all about making it easier for businesses to operate and innovate. He's also committed to allocating a substantial amount to aid small merchants and self-employed individuals affected by the pandemic. Tax reforms are also high on Yoon's agenda. He aims to lower capital gains and property ownership taxes, increase the tax threshold for cryptocurrency investments, and scrap a planned new tax for stock investments. These measures are expected to spur economic activity and investment, but Yoon's plans aren't limited to domestic policy. He's looking beyond South Korea's borders with an eye on strengthening the nation's geopolitical position. He intends to restart talks with North Korea and bolster military deterrence, including through ties with the United States. Yoon also proposes a permanent 3-way dialogue channel between South Korea, North Korea, and the United States, a move that could significantly alter the dynamics of inter-Korean relations. However, political controversies often linked to close ties with corporate dynasties have plagued South Korea's political class. The hope that the election of the PPP's Yoon Suk-yeol in the 2022 would bring positive change has not materialized. Yoon's divisive presidency has led to conflicts with both the opposition and factions within his own party, hindering effective governance. Investigations into corruption allegations involving party leaders have further fueled the political turmoil. The infighting and partisan deadlock have impeded the government from addressing various crises, including a declining fertility rate, economic slowdown, and strained public finances. The anticipated near-term trajectory of South Korea's economy suggests a slowdown in GDP growth, transitioning from 2.6% in 2022 to an estimated GDP of 1.4% in 2023. The vital export sector, constituting approximately 38% of the GDP, is poised to encounter growing challenges in 2023, primarily stemming from sluggish growth in the US and EU, coupled with the deceleration in the global electronics cycle. South Korea's economic journey doesn't stop at its borders. Its impact is felt globally, and geopolitical shifts affect it in return. However, the global economy is akin to a large, interconnected web, and changes in one part of the world can ripple throughout the system. South Korea is not immune to these shifts. One of South Korea's foremost economic challenges revolves around the enduring issue of demographic aging, posing significant ramifications for both the economy and society. The proportion of individuals aged 65 or older has already reached 16.5% of the population, and is anticipated to climb to 20% by 2025. Simultaneously, the working-age population, 15 to 64 years old, is dwindling as a percentage of the total population, projected to decrease from 71.4% in 2021 to approximately 55.7% by 2041. The aging demographic has played a role in decelerating South Korea's potential GDP growth rate, falling from roughly 7% annually in the mid-1990s to around 2.5% per year in 2021. Future forecasts suggest a potential further decline, placing South Korea's growth rate in the range of about 1% to 1.5% per year by 2050 due to demographic aging. Another global trend that could impact South Korea's economy is climate change. This is not just an environmental issue, but an economic one too. Climate change could lead to resource shortages and lower productivity, affecting industries across the globe. As a country with a strong manufacturing base, South Korea will need to navigate these potential obstacles while also playing its part in mitigating climate change. Geopolitical uncertainties also pose significant challenges. One recent example is South Korea's decision to join international efforts to sanction Russia. This decision could have far-reaching implications for its economy. As countries become more interconnected, the economic implications of geopolitical decisions grow more complex. South Korea, as a part of the global economy, will need to navigate these complexities. South Korea stands at a critical juncture, grappling with multifaceted challenges that necessitate strategic and comprehensive policy responses. The recent economic performance, marked by a decline in GDP growth and structural issues, underscores the urgency for proactive measures. The country's historical reliance on export-driven growth, particularly in manufacturing, faces headwinds due to a confluence of global factors, including the tech downturn and evolving consumer preferences in key markets, notably China. While the journey ahead is fraught with complexities, a concerted effort to address structural bottlenecks, coupled with strategic investments in emerging sectors, and a commitment to fostering a dynamic and competitive business ecosystem, could unlock significant gains in productivity and propel South Korea towards a more resilient and sustainable economic future.